I'm from the Home-Based Professional Learning team. With me is Tiffany Kinney from Home-Based Professional Learning, and we have two people from the support desk. We have Shannon and we have Gail. So we're going to be doing good stuff today. We're going to be talking about the early grad process. So your mid-year graduates, early graduates, items of that nature, and all things concerning them. So if you can get to those slides, they'll be good for reference for your future. And my mouse didn't click. Okay, cool. So this is how we maneuver within the webinar itself. Questions and names and that kind of thing. As I said, I'm here as a presenter from Home-Based Professional Learning. We have Tiffany still on our team, and Doris Kitts is the functional business analyst. She's not with us today, but she is still doing the Power School stuff with us, mostly scheduling information. I'm using the mobile app. Where do I find the chat feature? That's a very good question. How about if I say it out loud? Let's do that. So the bit.ly is http://bit.ly/early grad with a capital E, grads, GRADS, it's a capital G, DEC with a capital D, 2017. So Tiffany is sending it to you as well. Early grads, DEC 2017. Okay. Hopefully you can get to it. Perfect. Come on, mouse, do your thing. Okay. All righty. So what are we going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about what is an early graduate, what makes them an early grad, mid-year grad, what does the student academic screen look like, what do we do when we're at that screen. We're going to look at what fields are required, what fields are used for the GDV collection. We need to verify the graduation requirements, make sure they're ready to graduate early. We're going to also look at the next step is what we do. As a next step, we go to their scheduling setup screen and make some changes there. We transfer them out of school. That is our next step. And then what do you do next after they are transferred out? How to search for them, how to look at their transcripts, how to run a class rank, and what the EOI process does for those students. Okay. So first let's talk about what an early graduate is. So obviously different terminology. Some people use the term as mid-year grad. It's anyone who graduates from high school during the current school year, but not at the end of the instructional school year. And the particular asterisk that is here, it kind of is saying who gets to decide what that date is. So whoever is designated as your Power School admin, maybe it's a principal, maybe it's a counselor, they need to evaluate and manually look at those students to verify that they have all the graduation requirements fulfilled, and they have chosen a date within the fiscal calendar year. We need to go in and update some Power School records, and then we transfer them out based on whatever graduation date that the LEA has chosen, and we'll talk about those rules on another slide. And then we will transfer those kids out so that they end up in the graduated students' school during the EOI process. So we're still going to let them follow the EOI process. There's just a couple things to make sure they get there. Okay. There's also a QRD that kind of walks you through how to handle early graduates, and it's found on the NCSIS website. So that's the first link that you see. And the link at the very bottom is actually taking you to the PDF itself. So you'll be able to follow step by step. That has not changed as far as how we deal with them and the steps that we deal to make them happen. So I'm going to be going through some of these pages step by step so you have a good idea as to what's happening with these little early grads. So first of all, we're going to open a student record. So this is a student who has graduated early or wants to graduate early. You're going to find that student and open up his record. On the left-hand side, under North Carolina information, you're going to click on academics. And on that particular page, you're going to populate most of the fields there, but the ones that are really required for this process and for the GDV are the ones that are listed on this slide. So we want to make sure that you may enter a grade 9, let me say the real word, grade 9 entry date, the bound for field, diploma granted date, diploma issued date, and diploma type. So all of those are required for early grad process, and then specific ones are also required for the GDV process to gather those students. And those four specific ones, three, bound for, diploma issued, and diploma type. So we'll be looking at that page in just a second. But this is a good slide for reference if you want to remember which ones are the required fields for this process. So the first field is called grade 9 entry date. So this has to be filled out. This not necessarily the year that they came to you, it's the very first time they entered 9th grade. So it could be from a different LEA, it could be from a different state, it could be from anywhere. So you're going to have to find out either from their CUME folder or another way when their first entry date was into 9th grade. If you don't have an exact date, you can use a generic date, some date that is somewhere within that fiscal school. So after the start of school, our fiscal year for the entire state is sometime after EOI is done. So we suggested if you're going to use generic, somewhere around July 6th, because that's usually the first couple days after the EOI process is done and we're back up for the new school year. So we suggest 7-6, and then it says 20XX, and those X's is for the start year of that student's 9th grade year. So if it's a 16-17 school year, it would be 2016. And you may have to check for high school retentions in the student history. So if he's been retained in the 9th grade, we have to make sure that his very first time he entered 9th grade is the date that you really want there. Okay, so in this also, there's the actual field name itself. So the actual field name is long, but I'm going to read it out to you anyway. It's S_academic.grade_9_entry_date. So that's if you want to use the student field value to do any kind of mass assigning. So in order to use that mass assign, that's the entire field name that you have to be looking for. Any questions about the grade 9 entry date? Okie dokie.
None so far.
Cool. Okay, so the next one is the bound for. And this, if you see the two little squares, two little stars there, one means it's a required field for GDV, and it's also a required field for the early grad process. So the bound for field is under the basic data panel within that page, and you're going to choose it from a drop down. So the list on the right are the options for your choice. If you have a bunch and you want to use the student field value to mass assign, you have to do it by using a code. You can't look for private junior college out of NC because you won't see that. If you're going to do a student field value, you have to know the code. So in order to find that code, it's found in the Gen table. And I'm going to, it's the very last slide. I didn't throw it here in the middle, I threw it at the end, but I want to show you where it is. Let's see if I can get there. Okay, so we will send you out we're going to send out, but I just wanted to show you where you could find it within the Gen table. So if you can go to DDE and you have access to DDE, which everyone should, you're going to go to the Gen table and say CAT, which is for category, contains, and the word bound, and you're going to do a search all records. And then you're going to see the result, and you're going to click Table View to actually bring up all of the codes for that particular table, that little drop down. So now if I wanted to do private school or private senior institutions, I could use code number 2. If I wanted to do employment, I would do code number 7. So that will get us there. But we will definitely send a list out for what all of those codes are. Any questions about the bound for, where they're headed? Okie dokie. Okay, so these two fields we've had some discussion about. We actually talked about it back in October in the meetups. The diploma granted date and the diploma issued date. So they are both required. One is required for the early grad process, and they're also required for the GDV collection. So, but there's a difference in how we want to use these fields going forward. So right now, the field names are listed at the bottom of that page. If you want to actually do a mass assign, those are the actual field names at the bottom. What it looks like on this particular screen is it shows you that the diploma issue date is the one that's important, that we use that field for GDV. So diploma issued we have for GDV, and we want to move forward, we want to use diploma granted date for the e-transcript, for the CFNC. So that's how we are expecting to move forward with that. It hasn't been, put in stone yet. We've been asking if that is the way if it's going to, how we want it to move forward. So the GDV is going to look at the diploma issue date, and it's found under the FRC plan, okay? Okay, so the diploma granted and issue dates are the two fields that are important. I want to continue on. So my calendar, this is kind of giving you more information about what the legislature and all the verbiage says about the school calendar. You have to adopt a calendar, 215 days. It has to fall within our our fiscal calendar. The DPI, it starts the beginning of July and ends at the end of June. You have to have 185 days, 1,025 hours. So you guys determine that at your LEA. So you guys actually already use that going forward. We just wanted to give you some more information about where those dates are coming from. I think we have a couple questions. So diploma dates. For the diploma issued, do we use the date after the last day of the semester? Okay, Carolyn, that's a great question. We're going to be getting to that in just a couple seconds. On the next few slides, we're going to talk about what dates to use and how to get there. So if you could just bear with me just for another minute. And then, Carrie, please remind me if we use January date when we complete the requirements or the June date when they receive their diploma. Carrie, you and Carolyn are on the same wavelength, and we'll get there in just a couple slides. I promise not to let you forget that. Okay, so basically, this is going to help you. So if you're looking at this slide, it talks about the school calendar and the fiscal year. So we start July 1, or as soon as end of year is done, and we end June 30th, so that's our fiscal year. When it's an early graduate, you have a big window to choose from. So it has to be some day or some date after the first instructional day of the fiscal calendar, and it has to be the day before the last instructional day. So that's the very latest day it can be. It doesn't mean it has to be that day before the instructional day. It could be the day after they finished their content work, okay? As long as it is within the day before the last instructional day of the entire school. And I'm Italian, if you can't see me, but I'm using my hands over here telling you that calendar. Does that help, Carolyn and Carrie? So this is going to be the dates that we want to use for diploma issue. Perfect, Carolyn. Okay, so we're looking at diploma granted and diploma issue. We talked about it just a little bit, but now I want to drop down to the diploma type. So we definitely want to make sure that you're using the Future Ready Core, all spelled out. We're not going to be using FRC. So this particular field is S_NC_academic.diploma_type_code. So just like the bound, if you're going to be using the student field value to do any kind of mass assigning, you're going to have to know the code. And we already have the code listed here for you. So Future Ready Core, all spelled out, that code is capital A, capital S, as. And that will get you the Future Ready Core if you're going to be doing a mass assigning. And the little verbiage at the bottom of that is just saying when this is, the OCS has come into place. So the diploma type for your OCS students, they are going to be looking at the occupational course of study flag, and we have that listed on the DPI academic screen for the student. And it also on that page is the math course rigor calculation. That's also listed on that same page. So all diploma earning students need to be on that Future Ready Core, all spelled out. So there is no need for that FRC9, that abbreviated core. Yeah.
Hey guys, this is Rosalind. Just want to let you know we're going to be working to make some updates in the GDV report in the state reporting area to add some fatal errors for those that haven't cleaned up their diploma type, their academic diploma type codes. So what I did for you guys this year is I did that for you for this year and for last year for our reporting in our statistical profile. So we saw that we need to go ahead and put some fatal errors in there to force you to clean those up going forward. So in the fall, be looking for those kinds of fatals. And we're still having some conversations internally about the other different areas within the GDV that may need some additional reporting or fatal errors.
Awesome. I think we have a question. Yes. Can the diploma granted date be any time before the end of school year? So, yes, if your the CFNC is going to look at that, or we want it to going forward. I think that's what we think we're moving toward, is going to be looking at the diploma granted date. Remember, that is what's going to trigger the e-transcript. So these early grads, that can be any date that you want. It could be the day before, it could be the same date as your issue date, because this is an early grad, so it's not going to, they're already done with everything. So the only time that that diploma granted date comes into play is your other regular graduates. You don't want to give that date in there until you're ready for the e-transcript to get triggered. So the diploma granted date for these early grads, it can be the same as the diploma issue date, which is whenever the day is that they finish their content. Okay, perfect. All righty, so now we talked about it, what their issue date is, what their granted date is, but you have to make sure that they're ready to graduate. So your PS administrator, your principal or counselor, whoever it happens to be, have they verified those early grads? So they need to be, they have to complete the SBE requirements. They have to make sure under the UNC tab that they have the minimum admission requirements, the MARS. Look at their local graduation status, their CTE concentrator status, the math rigor, and the college career endorsement. So those are all pieces that you need to look at, and they're all found under the different tabs within the graduation requirements piece of a student record. So once you get there, make sure that all of those pieces are in place. To help you with that, there is a diploma assessment report, and this particular picture right here shows you what it looks like, but you can find it on ncpublicschools.org, graduation requirements link. You can also see it at the very, let's see, oh, in the yellow it shows it as a navigation piece. Go to the start page, you have the student already selected, report tab, and underneath the graduation planner area is diploma assessment report. So that'll help you looking at that. So this screen is pretty busy. There's a couple more things I wanted to point out about it. Does the student have absences in PowerSchool on or after their graduation date? If they do, you need to clear it out. So that is that red stop sign kind of thing is a reminder to make sure that that is taken care of. Another thing that you might want to look at, and we're almost done with this, the 13-14, we've been in PowerSchool almost long enough now, but you need to check historical grades for anything prior to 2013-14 to see if you still have NC-wise course numbers in there for some of these early grads. Pretty sure we should be almost done with that. But if you do, there is a crosswalk that you can find out to see what the NC-wise number is to the PowerSchool number. And Tiffany's, she's so sweet. She's going to post that link for us.
In the chat.
Okay, cool. Perfect. It's in the chat. Great. All right. So this particular screen is quite busy, but I wanted you to know if you go to the graduation requirements, all those tabs of information will help you there. I think we do have another question. So we can use an issue date after first semester. Say the student did not complete a credit recovery and it not affect anything. Student did not complete a credit recovery. Yes. So we can use an issue date after first semester. So, and yes, after first semester, if that's when they completed their content, they could be considered an early grad. You just have to follow all those pieces. Yeah, I mean, that's not up to us, but, oh, Lynn, does that, am I reading your question correctly, or am I misinterpreting it? Nola is saying that she doesn't see a chat, just questions. So in your webinar side piece, management navigation area, there should be a chat drop down. You may have to open it. It's a triangle. And if you open up the triangle, you should see it. Got it. Perfect. All right. So now, at this point, we've made sure that they're ready to graduate. We looked at all those things. We have given them an issue date and all that kind of stuff. But now we need to make sure that during the end of year process, things happen properly for them. So we're going to still having the student record open. On the left-hand side under scheduling, you're going to go to scheduling setup. And this particular page, there are a few things that have to be done so that they get to where they need to be. So we want to make sure their next year grade is going to be 99, because we want them to show up in the graduated student's school. We're going to make sure that schedule this student is unchecked. We don't want that checked because they're not going to be going anywhere. We're not going to schedule them any longer. And the year of graduation. So for a 16-17 school year, the year of graduation would be 2017. So in our 17-18 school year, their graduation year will be 2018, and so forth. A couple fields farther down, the next school indicator needs to say graduated students. So we're going to give them the grade of 99 and graduated students, and that's how they're going to end up in the graduated student school, because end of year process will pick them up. So those are your important pieces on the scheduling setup page. Any questions about those fields on that particular page? Okay, great. We're almost done. We've got a couple other things to do. So now we need to transfer them out of school. We want to make sure that they're done. They want to be done, and we want to get them out. So with that record still open, on the left-hand side under enrollment, we're going to choose functions. And under functions, we're going to choose transfer out of school. Now, the pieces that you need to look at on this particular page, one is the transfer comment. It's always good to put some kind of comment in there about what is happening with the student. So this is early grad 2017. It's kind of a good way just for us to take a look at it. It's not mandatory, but we really should be populating that. The date of the transfer. So this should be the day after the student's last day in class. So whenever they finish their content, it'll be the day after. And that will be their date of transferring out of the school. And the exit code you're going to give them is a W-4. Those are our early grads. It actually calls it early completer / mid-year grad. The other thing that you should see on that page is at the bottom in green, and I have a yellow band around it, you should have a green check mark that says there's no attendance records found on or after the date that you use for the date of transfer. So a couple slides ago, I said make sure they don't have any attendance after their exit date, and this is going to verify that that truly is the case. Any questions about getting them out? We're all just busy listening and taking notes, I can tell. All righty. So they've graduated. We set up their scheduling page. We transferred them out. Now let's think about what we can do with them, work with them after that. So we did the transfer out. You need to have a plan for your transcripts. You need to be able to print a transcript for them. So when you're thinking about this, if you transfer the kid out today and you're doing all this work for them today and you run the transcript, it will still say if I could speak English, expected graduation date. If you wait for the overnight process to happen, then you will see on the transcript, it will say graduation date instead of expected graduation date. So make sure you wait for that overnight process if you want the transcript to read graduation date. So that's either the overnight process or for at the end of year through the EOI process. After EOI, you may want to search for your early grads prior so you can print their transcript. So this particular search, that's a compound search that we're doing, and it's using the asterisk type phrase. So a lot of our special search commands start with that asterisk. So this is asterisk as underscore of equals. So it's looking for a date. So we're saying as of 01/01/2017, as of January 1st, and that semicolon, the exit code equals W4, then we should be able to get all of those early graduates. So that date of 01/01/17 means anytime you have given them an exit date of 01/01/2017 going forward, and they have a W4, pull them up into my search results. You could also narrow that field down if you want to add another combo to that search line and include a student number if you actually have a student number that you're looking at specifically. So that kind of gives you a way to search for students. That's only part of what the screen is talking about. Yeah, so let's go with this question. Can date of transfer be a non-instructional day? For instance, the day after the last instructional day is a planning day. Yes, it can. PowerSchool knows all that kind of stuff. It looks at the calendar and it's all good stuff. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about class rank. So this actual QRD is being updated as we speak. I'm just finalizing it today, actually. So the rank, you need to make sure that you set up a rank to include your W4 students, your early grads. If the rank is working for you, great. Perfect. Okay. So the next piece says, if it's not, this is actually giving you another workaround. Okay. My recommendation is if it's not working, open a remedy ticket first because it should be working. But this is another way of getting to that W4 student to get into that class rank calculation. So I'm going to go through that in just 1 second. We had one more question. Please let me know if we need to use 01/01 date for early grads. So no, that is an example date. So if your early grads, if you're doing all of your early grads in December or November, then you can put whatever date that was going forward. So in one county, they did all of their early grads before Christmas break. So they went in and they would do a search for as of 12/22/2017, and it will bring up everybody who has a W4 status as of that date going forward. So that date would be the first date of whenever you've processed any early graduate. Does that make sense? I'll wait and make sure that they're okay with that answer. Okay, so I have a couple support persons here, so you guys know that you'll get a ticket if they have a problem with the class rank. But if stuff doesn't happen, that your W-4 person is not included in the rank, what you're going to be able, or what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to change their enroll status. So what we want to do is change it from inactive status to being active status. We need to make them active again for accurate GDV and PMR reporting and for inclusion in the class rank. So what we want to do is to go in and update their student field value, their enroll status. So when you make it a 0, that means they are active again. So you start with the start page, go to your special functions, group functions, student field value, find your W-4 grads, and change them to enroll underscore status equal to 0, which makes them active. Once you have them active, then you can run and store your class rank. And when you're done, you'll go back and change their enroll status back to a 2, which means they're transferred out. So let me know if that is going to be a problem for anyone. If that is a problem and you're confused about that, when you put in the remedy ticket, make sure you have enough information there so they can help you walk through that. We could use the date we withdraw early grads from Power School. Yes, that's basically what that is saying. Look for my W-4 status and any date that you withdrew them moving forward. So it looks at that as the earliest date for all of your W-4 students. They can use the exact date, but it's that date plus anything in the going forward. How are we doing with the rank stuff? So the class rank should be working fine. We are definitely, and we're setting that to manual, the frequency of it. We talked about that at meetups. And if it doesn't work, put a remedy ticket in, but basically we're going to make the inactive student active long enough to run the rank, store the rank, and then change them back. All right, so where are we at this point? So right now, we went through the early grad process. We made sure that they were transferred out. We gave all their dates. We did all that stuff. We set up their scheduling so they end up in the graduated student school, and then EOY happens. So when EOY happens, this is what their transfer info page is going to look like. So if we go to the start page, find our student, an example student, go to the transfer info page, and look at what the 2 lines say. The top line, which is the current enrollment, and then look at the first previous enrollment records. Is there a W-4 in the current and the previous enrollment line? So they both should have a W-4. Do the entry and exit date match? So when you transferred them out, you gave them an exit date, and that gave them the W-4 with the exit date. So that would be in the previous enrollment line. And then EOY should have created this current enrollment, and it should have the same date, start and end date, as the transfer out date that you used, and it should also have a W-4. So the only difference between these 2 lines are the dates and the grade. So the grade, you should have a 12th grade in their previous enrollment record because they're seniors and they graduated early. And then the current enrollment, end of year, will have created this record, giving it start and exit date, a W-4, and a grade of 99. Any questions about what EOY does for your early grads? Basically, it's going to treat them like all the other graduates at that point. Okay, 242. If you do have any questions, the one thing we ask is that you open up a remedy ticket, and this link will take you to the portal where you can enter a ticket. Make sure you put in as much information, as much detail as you can. The class rank, where we have asked that you change the frequency to manual. That was talked about in December meetups. So if you couldn't get to those, so we are going to definitely make sure that you change the frequency from daily to manual. And then after you change it to manual, you're going to click submit. When you're ready to recalculate a class rank, which is at the end of the semester and at the end of the year, you're going to click the recalculate link, but you're not going to click submit because that will just kick it off twice. So you're going to just click recalculate now, but you're not going to click submit on that page. So that's a little bit about class rank. Do we have any other questions about the early graduate process?
Go ahead and send your questions in. We still have a few more minutes if you have any questions about early grads. We are monitoring those questions.
Guys, it's after lunch. You guys need some coffee? Okay, so what I think I'll do is I will stop the recording so we can finish the conversation of early grads, but I'll leave the phone open just for a couple more minutes. But as far as early grads are, I think we are good for the day.
So please go ahead and send in those questions. We're going to stop the recording, and we are still on the webinar, just in case.